Welcome to the IGEL community and our technical tips and tricks videos. My name is Sebastian, Director of Community and Senior Engineer. Today I will guide you through the process of how to use post-session commands in IGEL OS. Before starting the explanation, let's imagine that you have a session started on your operating system with IGEL OS. Basically Citrix, LDP, WVD, web browser session or whatever, and you're leaving your company, your office, and leaving for your home. You usually, if you're doing it in a proper way, logging off your Citrix session, then click log off on the local PN login, so the Citrix login, and then click on the start menu and then shut down the device or press the power button. What we are doing here is we are combining everything in one step. So you just have to close your session or logging off from there, and if it was the last window opened, the operating system will perform a specific command. That's what we call post-session command. So basically, as soon as a session is closed, as a general overview, you can define a specific action, which could be shut down the device, reboot the device, log off the device, or also if you have a specific command in head, you can also enter a command line command into this specific window and execute whatever you like. So basically, what we are doing here is, and from our perspective, in the first step is to enhance your security, because as soon as the session is closed, no one can access your data anymore because the thin client would get logged off and logged on again, so no one can perform something in your name. On the next hand, if you think about updating your device and shutting down, and you are leaving your office, just logging off, the update will never be performed until someone is rebooting or shutting down the device from the UMS. So that's something that you could use to speed up your update rollout, to say as soon as the session is closed, the device will be shut down and then the update will be performed automatically. And then last but not least, it's pretty obvious, but if you're working in a co-workspace with a lot of different users and someone's just forgetting to logging off from the local PN login, it will just increase a little bit the speed between logging off and logging on again for the next user. Like on every tutorial, we are looking at our Universal Management Suite, also known as UMS. So I prepared a virtual endpoint for today with a Citrix profile, which is automatically connecting to a storefront server that we prepared. So we already spoke about the behavior and why you would like to use a post-session command in our intro. Just make it short, I will act as a user, so I'm coming to my office, starting my Citrix connection, starting my workspace with my server connection, mostly with a published desktop or a published application, and working like usual. At the end of the day, or maybe at lunch break, I will leave my workspace, and if I'm lucky enough, I will just lock my session with Windows L or just disconnect or sign out my user. So that's what I would use when I'm just a standard user and not thinking of what happens in a security perspective. If I would like to be 100% sure, I would have to do the log off here, and that's the least procedure I would do when I'm a user and leaving my workspace. Now let's imagine that we can do that in an automatic way to log off and also to log off the local endpoint as soon as the session is closed. So let's start the Citrix session again and look at a specific profile. We are now creating a profile called post-session command. Which means which kind of action should the endpoint execute as soon as the endpoint matches a specific pattern. In my case, I would use a Citrix session. So as soon as something happens to a Citrix session, do the following. And I would say in the first case, just do a log off. So the log off here is not meant to be used as a Citrix log off feature. It's really the local IGEL OS user log off. Let's see how it behaves. After saving the profile, assigning it, and confirming the configuration change, let's start again any kind of application and do the disconnect or log off, sign out especially procedure again. Now you see that the log off process behaves a little bit differently, and my Citrix storefront is already logging off automatically, and my screen remains black for a couple of seconds. When I say remains black, it just means that the local endpoint log offs and re-log on again. In my case, I already created a login script, so it doesn't make a big change, but for the end user it does. At the moment where the last application that went opened is closed by the user, the local log off process will start. And here we go again. Logoff is just one of different features that you could use as a post-session command. One pretty helpful one is to shut down the device immediately with a short dialog. Why is that helpful? Besides the fact that you will save some energy and some cost on the energy level, it will also have a specific positive behavior if you went the route to say, I want to update my device when shutting down, which means that as soon as the user is leaving his workspace and going back to home, the device will shut down, but will also update itself to the latest firmware version that you assigned and that you triggered by your jobs or right-click update process. So let's simulate the last one and see if the device will shut down like expected. So again, user, sign out, or you can also choose just close the session if you prefer. Signing out, and if I did everything right, the user should now be prompted with a shutdown countdown if the system needs to be shut down. So obviously the user has already left his workspace, so he is not doing anything. And now the firmware update that I found in prior through a job is not performing his task like expected. So you do not have to take care, at least not in a high amount of time, about the update that you are doing. Fun fact, by the way, even if it's part of another tutorial, the device, like here, if a reboot is needed by the firmware update, will perform that reboot, close the rest of the update process, and will then shut down like expected. So my device is still online. I will just wait until the moment where the update will end. And that's it. My device is shut down and updated in the same moment. And just because we went through that profile pretty quick, let me just show you the different approaches that you might also have besides the Citrix session. You might have also used Citrix via browser, which means that you have a Citrix session that you open by opening a Citrix storefront or Netscaler in a Firefox browser. Then I would recommend to choose that one. And then you have not every session, I must be honest, but most of the sessions that you can configure under sessions is listed here. If you're interested in doing that for different session in one profile, because you might have not only one type of session on your endpoint, you're also able, since the 11.05 version, to specify a couple of different sessions and then say as soon as a Citrix and or an ADP session or and a WVD session is closed, please perform the shutdown process. That's it. Thank you for joining our technical video session. All links mentioned in this session are available in the show notes section of this video. You will find more technical content and other videos on igelcommunity.com and IGEL Academy learn.igel.com.